Welcome to Retirement Decoded with your host, Scott Tucker, where we break down the complexities of retirement planning to give you clear, actionable advice. Whether you're just starting out or getting ready to retire, Scott's here to help you make informed decisions and secure your financial future. Tune in each week as we simplify the process and decode the path to a stress-free retirement. Now, here's your host, Scott Tucker.
Well, welcome back to the Retirement Decoded podcast with Scott Tucker. I'm your host, Scott Tucker. And my retirement planning sidekick today is, Andre Hootie, our associate advisor. He's still with us. Now, he hasn't been fired, okay? But we have a new, our newer to us, at least, financial planner who's joined our firm. It's Max Wren. Say hello, Max Wren.
Hey, folks. Happy to be here.
Say hello, Max Wren.
Hello, Max Wren. You're going to make me do that every time.
Yep, that's the way to do it. Repetition. So, Max, our question for today's podcast comes from Mary. So let's take a run at this. So Mary says, Scott and Max, I will be purchasing a new home with cash. About $40,000 will be from cashing in an investment. Now, Max, if she's cashing out an investment, it's different than what she just said, isn't it?
It is.
She said, I'm going to be buying a house with cash. About 40 grand of it will come from cashing out an investment. So it could be, there could be some tax implications here. Maybe that's why Mary wrote to us. So I'd like to minimize the taxes I'll pay. Well, there it is right there. She'd like to minimize the taxes she pays. So should I cash out money from the money market fund of my inherited IRA? Now, Max, I kind of think about this like a candy wrapper, then the candy's inside. So if the candy inside is the money market,
right,
the candy wrapper is inherited IRA. Mm-hmm. And if she's going to take out money from the money market out of her inherited IRA,
yep,
she's going to cause federal income tax.
She will.
Yep. Although, the inherited IRAs, depending on when her, I guess I would say one of her parents died. She didn't say that, did she?
No.
She just said it was an inherited IRA.
Yeah. It depends what year she inherited that account mm-hmm. as well, too.
Yeah. What year the person passed. Mm-hmm. So if they passed 2020 or later, then she has a 10-year timer anyway. And I kind of like to get those for clients that come to us with a inherited IRA. They're not always real large, but they have that kind of 10-year forced income, forced taxes. I kind of, if they get to where they're smaller, 50 grand, 100 grand, if I just put myself in their shoes, man, I'd probably just like to cash the thing out and be done with it.
Yeah, just rip the Band-Aid off.
Stop having that thing just kind of, that's the thing too. If tax rates go higher in the future, we don't know, it could cause more taxes if you're just waiting longer. So she says, I will need to take out a $10,000 required minimum distribution regardless. So she's already having to do that. Or should I sell shares in my taxable brokerage account in a Vanguard fund, which I bought incrementally in November? Okay, the whole bunch of timing stuff here. Will this be considered tax loss? Okay, let's get into a big mess. So, Max, I think myself, if I put myself in the client's shoes or the Mary's shoes, she's not a client yet. Oh boy, go to tuckerretirement.com, get on our phone calendar, Mary. I think I would probably want to take money from the inherited IRA first, even though it's federally taxable, because you and I are probably the same mindset. We're thinking there's going to be higher federal income taxes in the future.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at our current tax rates and how they fit into historical tax rates, I mean, we haven't seen our income brackets this low in decades, really, and with looking at this legislation sunsetting after this year, I mean, it may be a good idea just to get it taken care of.
And then the not only that, but also she's what's running more tax efficiently for her is she's calling it a brokerage account. She's saying a taxable brokerage account. At least she's not calling it her after tax account, because people try to call. The proper name is a non-qualified account, right?
Right.
But at least she's not calling it her after-tax account, because a non-qualified account, or what people call a brokerage account, which isn't really a great name for it either, what they call an after-tax account is actually a non-qualified account, and there can be tax ramifications. You can have long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains, and things. So she was saying, should I take it from my brokerage account or from my inherited IRA? I think I'd rather take it from the inherited IRA first, right? Even if it boost me up, but I'm figuring tax brackets are going higher and higher and higher the way the debt and deficit spending and everything's been. And then that non-qualified account, which she calls a taxable brokerage account, proper name is non-qualified account. Maybe Mary didn't tell us if she has kids herself. But maybe if she has money in her non-qualified account she doesn't use for herself, say she leaves it to kids, under current law, there's a step up in cost basis, and the kids could get that free from federal income tax.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, if it's going to be stepped up on the date of her death and her kids are going to inherit it at that value, they're going to pay no taxes on that. So
now there's one wrinkle to this, though, that we need to cover. Mary, I don't know how much your net worth is now or how much it might be in the future, but we have, I didn't see if Mary's an Illinois resident or not. So we're in Chicago. We do help. We are federally licensed, and we help listeners all across the fruited plain, anywhere in the United States or its territories. But Mary, if you're an Illinois resident, we'll just pretend that for a minute. In Illinois, a lot of folks aren't aware, and folks who live here are not aware that there's an Illinois estate tax, and they only exclude the first $4 million of your estate. If you hit $4 million, they tax all the way back to $1 it's a waterfall progressive tax. And if you get into the upper brackets of the Illinois estate tax, you could end up paying up to 16% on some of the money to Springfield, Illinois. The Illinois Department of Revenue, our friends.
Our
right?
great friends, right?
Right. And then we have the federal estate taxes, which are those exclusions are higher. So I just kind of say that as kind of a preamble to or a disclaimer that the non-qualified account can be inherited with a step up in cost basis. So your kids could get that. Your theoretical kids or hypothetical kids, I don't know if you have kids, they could get that free from federal income tax. But if your estate's large enough or will be large enough, you could end up with the Illinois estate tax once your net worth or the worth of your estate reaches $4 million. Max, we get a lot of folks coming to us right now, whether it's from the podcast or on the radio show, or some folks are out of state, some folks are here in Chicago, some folks are in the suburbs or downstate or Wisconsin, whatever. And we have folks coming to us and they say, well, Scott, Max, we're only worth $3 million right now. Sure, we're Illinois residents, so Illinois residents say this part. We're Illinois residents, but we only have $3 million right now. We don't need to worry about the $4 million estate tax exclusion for the Illinois estate tax. But Max, what happens if you have $3 million today? What happens 10 years from now? You get like $5-6 million bucks.
Yeah, it's going to grow, hopefully.
Well, I hope so. Hope so. We're not doing our job. So, and there's other states. I should check my references. I can't remember if Massachusetts is still 1 million or if they might have bumped it to 2. But I remember recently, like Massachusetts was $1 million. And I tell you, just a house in Massachusetts could be easily $750. Just a modest house in Massachusetts could be $750, and then any kind of other money in their yard, $1 million bucks. It used to be estate taxes were only for gazillionaires,
Yeah, and I think when you look at a state like Illinois too, with all the headwinds they're battling, deficit, things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, we really could see legislation change, and any way they could get more tax revenue money, they're going to try it. So,
well, but Max, of course, as you know, we have listeners all across the country. The United States and its territories. We've gotten stats back from Spreaker, is one of the podcasting platforms that gives us stats on where people listen to our show. We've had listeners in Russia, the United Arab Emirates, Canada, Mexico. I mean, who knows? So, and English is spoken all over the world. So I don't really know how or why all that happens, But really, we're federally licensed. We help them anybody in the United States, and so here's the thing. So Illinois has high property taxes, partly because of its fiscal condition. New Jersey has high property taxes, partly because of its fiscal condition. Illinois and New Jersey both have income taxes. However, the state of Texas does not have an income tax, and it doesn't happen so much anymore because a lot of people have wised up, I think. But people, for a time, some years ago, were moving from Chicagoland, where we are, and they would move to Texas, and they'd say, well, Texas doesn't have a state income tax. Well, the thing is, in Illinois, if you retire in Illinois, your retirement accounts are not taxed. So you don't really have an income tax if you retire in Illinois. You do have high property taxes, high cost of living if you're in the Chicagoland area and that kind of thing. But if you move to Texas, just because they don't have a state income tax, it's kind of silly because you're retired. And Texas is one of the high property tax states, just like Illinois or New Jersey. So let's say, and Texas is getting bluer all the time. They're having folks from California move to Texas, and so just a lot of things are changing in Texas governmentally. That happened some years ago, in Arizona, a lot of folks used to move from Chicagoland to, say, Scottsdale area. And these tax laws keep changing. But last I looked, Arizona is taxing tax-deferred retirement accounts like IRA, 401k, taxing those at 4.5%. So you could move from Illinois, where they don't tax your retirement accounts at all, move to Arizona, and they tax you at 4.5%. And now we have new people coming in from California who might turn Arizona into Illinois, So you got to be careful. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but you got to be careful that you might move to a place that changes while you're there. So 10 years ago, people were moving to Arizona. Then it changed with the California in-migration into Arizona. Now Arizona, you could have your IRA taxed at 4.5%. And you could, here's what could happen. You could soon have your property taxes go up. We don't know. They might not stay low forever, because in Texas, they don't have a state income tax, but they have a high property tax. I kind of think, I've heard some folks that moved to Florida, southwestern Florida, the Naples area, and they've said that, well, we moved down here because there's no state income tax. And say, well, you didn't have a state income tax in Illinois if you're retired either. So that's kind of better weather. I get it. Probably not as good of food, though, don't you think?
No. If you're in Miami, maybe, though. Yeah.
Well, Miami or Naples, but it can be pretty expensive in some of those areas, too, just to go to dinner. But you go down to Florida, and now they don't have the income tax, but they might start pushing up on the property tax.
Insurance, too.
Oh, their insurance. You can't even get insurance.
Good luck.
if you can get insurance. So, Mary, and I tell you what, purchasing the new home with cash, it's not quite cash if it's not already in cash. So and you're caught onto that. So she says she'd like to minimize the taxes she pays. And her question, just kind of skimming over this again. I would rather, I think, and we'd have to run your numbers and see. So get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. If it's me, I probably would rather rip the Band-Aid off at Max, like you were saying, just take it from the inherited IRA and not have to do this RMD thing the rest of my life, or for the rest of the 10 years, which I think she's probably on a 10-year schedule. That's what's most likely.
Yeah, just get rid of the headache right there.
Yep. And then that non-qualified account, if you have kids or anybody you want to leave that non-qualified account to, doesn't have to be kids. Let's leave it to them tax-free. Let's also, though, Mary, let's think a little bit about estate taxes. Not only the federal estate tax, but several states have estate taxes. Some even have estate and inheritance taxes. Like a double taxation. It's like a double death tax.
Yeah. Uncle Sam will find a way, right?
Well, that's the state, though. That's the state. So some of these states have the estate tax and the inheritance tax on the same money. And then you have the federales, like you're saying.
Oh, boy.
Got to worry about the federales. So, Mary, there's that. Get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. At tuckerretirement.com, you can see our phone calendar. Click and pick a time. You can schedule yourself right there. And then we'll spend 15 minutes for free with you in the coming week with one of our financial planners. Get your questions answered and your answers questioned. Well, it's been fun and it's been real. We'll talk to you on the next episode of the Retirement Decoded podcast.
Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions. A Roth conversion is a taxable event and may have several tax-related consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. The views and opinions herein are those of Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc.